Hello there everybody, and thanks for joining me for this special live stream where I'm going to be answering your digital art questions and hopefully reviewing some digital art channels to help them grow and be more successful on YouTube. So, if you don't know who I am, I'm Aaron Rutten. I have lots of free digital art tutorials here on YouTube. The software of choice that I use is Corel Painter, and I'm painting on a Wacom Cintiq 27 QHD Touch. Feel free to comment and let me know where you're watching from, and if you'd like a review of your art channel, just let me know in the comments. So while we're waiting on some of those submissions, I'm going to switch my screen here and we'll talk about a few things. First, the review I did in my last live stream was for Momo Hoskin. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the channel name here, but wow, what a change! What a night and day change. Not that it was a bad-looking channel before I gave the review, but it looks so much more professional now. There's nice channel art up here at the top that talks a little bit about what this channel is about, and it mentions the schedule. So now I know when I come here exactly what I'm going to get. Multimedia art and illustration, new videos on Wednesdays. Awesome. And there's some examples of the artwork, a little bit of branding. And then there's consistent thumbnails now. Thumbnails are focused more on the artwork. You can see more of the artwork, and there's a little bit of branding. So excellent job here on your channel. Very, very cool. So, Omar is watching from the UAE. Good to see you, Omar. Thanks for watching tonight. And there are a few questions. Gaming AR asked one of them. If it's questions that I've already answered in a video or several videos, I'm going to ask that you check out those videos or those playlists, just because I can answer those questions a lot better in the video. So while we're waiting on some people to jump in for a channel review, I also want to mention that the instructions to do the channel review are in the description of this live stream. It's free, however, if there are a lot of people or if somebody really wants to guarantee that I'm going to review their channel, you can always super chat by clicking that $ icon down on the bottom of the chat, and $10 or more super chats are going to get priority for channel reviews. And questions as well. If you just want to support my channel, you want to support my live streams, you want to help me continue what I'm doing, go ahead and super chat even if you don't want a channel review. It would always be appreciated. Happiness is watching from Texas. Instant Grats watching from Nashville or Asheville. And I'll go ahead and answer Instant Grat's question here. It's a good one. Instant Grat says, just getting into digital art, is it possible to make a living with a good enough skill set in this field? Absolutely. There's a lot of people doing it. I guess we're kind of living at a time where digital art is consumed a lot more. Like, there's a big appetite for it, and there's a lot of industries and a lot of individuals who want digital art. Digital art can come in many forms, and so you can have digital art that's 2D illustration, you can have digital art that's 3D, there can be a mix of the two. You can sell a lot of digital content on your own without having to have somebody publish something for you, or without having to work out some deal with some other third party. You can sell your own content, you can sell your own work. It's very easy to make money as a digital artist. At the same time, it's not easy. Otherwise everybody would be doing it. So obviously you have to have some skill and some talent, but that's all really subjective. And I think regardless of how much talent you have to also be able to market yourself. You have to be able to advertise for yourself and get your work out there. If you don't do a good job of that, and you don't do a good job from like the business side of it, it doesn't matter how good you can draw and how good you can paint. Because I see lots of artists, lots of my contemporaries who are phenomenal artists, but they don't want to put hardly any effort into promoting themselves because, and I'm guilty of feeling this way too, but you want to focus more on your art. You don't want to be a business person. You don't want to manage an artist. You want to be an artist. But unfortunately, unless you can afford a manager, you have to be able to manage yourself. So you might see that I'm a pretty productive person. Every day nearly every day I'm working on my business and putting up lots of videos, and have a lot going on. And that's because that's what it takes. You can't be lazy. You can't put too much effort into art and not into promoting your art. People have criticized me, probably not knowing much about my work, and said that I'm quality over quantity, and I think you have to have a balance of quality and quantity, but the hard truth is that if you want to be able to have a YouTube channel as an artist, you have to be able to have more than one video a month. If I spend a month on a painting, I'm only going to have one video to show for it. I could break it into 30 videos if I wanted to and post one a day, but you guys are going to get really bored of that pretty quickly. So that's just the reality. If I have to have more quantity to be consistent, that's just what it takes. And if I want to get my work out there and I want to be successful, that's how you have to do it. So, it's cool now and then to spend a little more time on paintings and things like that, but I realized from experience, from having tried to be a full-time artist lots of different ways, this is what works for me. And, maybe the more long format content works for other artists, but for me, I need to be able to be consistent and have content that I post often. So then I guess it's up to me to push myself to be able to produce more quality content quicker so that I can have quantity and quality, and that's something to work on. DP's watching from Brazil. Happiness is a hoax says, where should I put a watermark on my painting? Let's just see if I can pop up an example really quickly here. Very organized, but sometimes it's hard to find stuff even though I am organized. So I've got a folder here, which might as well let you see. And this has a whole bunch of saves from this painting that I did. And this is actually a painting I recorded the process of, and a hard drive failed. It had an error, and I lost like a good chunk of the painting and a good chunk of the video, and so I had to kind of start over midway through. Like, fortunately, I looked really hard, and I found a save that was kind of somewhere in the middle. But anyways, I digress. Here's an image that I made available kind of as a bonus piece of content for the paid version of this process video, which is a lot longer, and there's narration, and it explains how I made this painting. And included in that is this full-size image. So if you want to see like all the maximum detail in here, let's see, that's 100%. It's a pretty detailed piece. There's a lot going on. And so it's nice to be able to have that to appreciate. However, I also want to watermark it because I don't want... People probably aren't going to use it in that way. It's very unlikely that someone who would purchase one of my courses is also at the same time going to try to scam me and sell my artwork as prints. It could happen, so it makes sense to put a watermark on it. However, I don't want that watermark to cover up the center of the piece, because then it's hard to appreciate the artwork and enjoy it. So it's there, but it's at the top where you just barely see it, and then at the bottom where it stands out maybe a little bit more, and it's not really covering anything important. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it would be to, have it giant like this and put it across the middle and make it really obvious. But that makes it hard to enjoy your artwork, and I think if you're exhibiting your artwork, that's not a good way to do it. People can remove your watermark if they really, really want to, if they're really interested in selling it. So the better way to protect yourself is don't make really large versions of your artwork available for the public on the internet. Have a smaller copy that's still big enough to, be able to get the idea of it, but don't put up a giant version. Then it'll be harder to remove the watermark. If the watermark covers more of the image, it's obviously harder to remove. If I put it down in the corner, like I did earlier, it might be easier to remove that. You might even just be able to crop off some of the canvas, and no one would know the difference. If you're a graphic designer or you're doing work for hire for people, and you're worried about not getting paid for the job, you know, like let's say you got a deposit, but you want to make sure you get the rest of the money. If you send them the final artwork, the high resolution artwork, they can just, people don't do this typically, but the client can keep the artwork and never pay you for the remainder of the project. And it's happened to me more than once. So putting a big old watermark on the artwork like this would make more sense in that case, because then you're protecting yourself with that watermark. The client can look at the artwork, get an idea of what it looks like, and know that that watermark will be removed once they pay you in full for the project. So there's no one way to make a watermark. You know, you want it to be there and you want it to be obvious, but not too obvious, not to where it's going to take away from the value of the piece. I like this question here that Pop Trigger says, what Ninja Turtles memorabilia do you have in the background there? I actually got a bunch of this stuff for a holiday present last month. It is well, so it's not the soft head. The original Ninja Turtles, the first ones I believe, had soft squishy heads. So this is the iteration after that. There's Bebop, Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, Master Splinter. Don't have Michelangelo, but I'm working on that. And then there is the Rocksteady, that's one of the mutating ones that transforms, so you like flip his head up kind of like a transformer and then he can become human. And then there's the collector's case back there. And then I also have what I found at a thrift store is I believe he's Genghis Frog, one of the frogs, and some assorted weapons. So that's what's there. And then on the top shelf above that, there's a He-Man character, some Transformers, and some G.I. Joes. It's nice to have stuff like that, I think. And it's, some of the stuff is what I had as a kid, some of the stuff I wanted and did never get, so it's part of the fun of being an adult. So buying stuff that you had when you were a kid. So let me switch back here to this. Hopefully that answered the question about the watermark. Keith Terrier's here. Good to see you, Keith. Watching from Tokyo. There's a few more good questions, but I'm going to take a minute just to talk a little bit about channel art, because I wanted to talk about that last time. I have this template that I started a while ago, right around when channel art kind of, I don't know, kind of when it I don't know if they had it to begin with through the history of YouTube, but one of the more recent iterations of it, I believe they changed it a little bit. So this is a template that I made. Basically, I measured the channel art space and then made this template. So I don't know if this is the exact size that YouTube recommends, but it's pretty close. And it is 2560 by 1439. So that's about 1440p resolution. So that's probably about what it's supposed to be. And then I have these blue guides here, and these more or less kind of help me know where things are going to be on the channel art. So if I go back to my channel here, you can see like up here in the corner in the top right, these icons for my links here, these are going to cover up some area here. So obviously I wouldn't want to put an important piece of text right there. It'll get covered up. And then if you make the windows smaller, or you're viewing on a smaller computer, all that stuff starts to squish in. So this is here on this image, but if I made the window smaller, it might cover the bottom of this image, and you know, or maybe a little bit of both, and so on. So that's something to keep in mind, that this will expand and contract. I have a good idea based on my template where that stuff is going to show up, and so I know kind of where to put it. But at this point, you know, I don't really need the guides to be able to see what I'm doing. I kind of have a good idea of where everything's going to fit. So what I have on here, I have my name. I talked about this in the last live stream, but this is very important. People need to know who you are and what your channel is about. They're not going to take the time to look at your videos and be like Sherlock Holmes and put it together. They need to just be told up front what it is that you do and what to expect. That's kind of the point of your channel art. And if you're an artist, it makes sense to have at least a piece of artwork, if not a few pieces of artwork, or something that's a cool image. It could be a picture of you. It really could be anything, but it should probably be art. So that's why I have that here. And then I have what it is that my channel does, digital art tutorials. You know, I'm not going to try to explain every possible kind of video that I have, because I have more than just tutorials. I have product reviews as well, but you can't say too many things all at the same time. It gets a little confusing. So if you can narrow it down to one thing or just a few things, that's even better. I have my logo here. I have this hashtag that I use to help find my videos. And then I have my schedule here, which is new videos every week. Now I could be more specific and I could say new videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which is when I post videos. But if that changes at some point, or, you know, like maybe I post a video on Tuesdays and Thursdays sometimes, I don't want to be too specific and I don't want to say too much. So new videos every week is probably good enough for people to go, oh, okay, this guy posts new videos every week. And then a few, you know, kind of badge social media things over here so people can find me elsewhere. Just, it's all nice and filled in. It looks appealing. And then there's some extra space here that really just kind of is extra buffer zone for if you end up looking at this on a really big device like a TV. I don't need to really put important information here. Most of what's going to get seen across most devices, whether they're big or small, is kind of in this area here. So everything else is just kind of background. This could be blank if I wanted it to be, but instead I have it as kind of a collage of some different artwork that I've done. So that's channel art. And then you can see it in action here. Okay, I didn't mess it up good. I was worried that I messed up my window when I moved it. My Twitter's getting covered up by this button here, but normally you wouldn't see this button if you were viewing my channel as someone who's not me. So that's channel art. We know why it's important. We know how to make it. I used Photoshop to make mine, but you could use whatever other art or design application that you have. Thumbnails are also very important. The thumbnail needs to explain or tease the content of your videos, so these are some thumbnails. I talked a little bit about this last time, so I'm not going to here. But you can watch my previous live stream for more of an explanation on that. If it comes up in a channel review, then I will talk a little bit more about that. So let's get back to questions. Carol wants to know, she says, I'm a new Photoshop user, but have used Painter for a number of years. How do I save a selection in Photoshop and shift it into Painter? I've tried unsuccessfully. Save a selection in Photoshop and shift it into Painter. I don't know that you can save a selection per se, but I'll show you one way off the top of my head how you could do it. So let's see, we've got our new canvas here. Let's say that I'll just put something down here that we'll select. Let's say that this is our thing that we want to select. I'm going to hold down Control and I'm going to click on that layer icon there for that layer. That creates a selection. So even if I hide that layer, let's say that's our selection. Now what you could do then is, you know, maybe the selection that I made came from an image, or it's some other kind of selection. I used the magic wand. Whatever kind of selection it is, it doesn't really matter. What you would do is create a new layer and then just fill that selection with, let's say, black. And you can use Shift F5 to fill, or you can go to Edit Fill, And so I have essentially kind of what I started with here. I just have my selection that's just filled in with black. So then I can go ahead and save this by going to Save As, and I'll save it as a PSD, native Photoshop format. I'm going to put this somewhere where I can find it. And then here in Corel Painter, I'll open that selection. I don't know why it came in with those guides there. Or I'm sorry, I'll open that PSD, and I have that filled in selection that I created. All I need to do then is right click on that layer and choose Select Layer Content. And then essentially I have a selection, and then if I wanted to save that selection here in Corel Painter, I can. So kind of what you're doing more or less is you're creating your selection, you're creating a new layer, and you're filling that new layer with that selection. So it's like that selection has just been colored in. You now have the silhouette there. It exists as pixels. And then you save those pixels on a layer in your PSD. You open that PSD in Painter, and then you reselect, or you use those pixels on that layer to basically get that selection back by selecting all around those pixels, if that makes sense. I know I explained that in kind of a weird way, but you're basically just filling in the selection and then reselecting it. Another way to do it would be by saving a mask, and the mask essentially would create an alpha channel. That's a little bit more complicated, and I don't know that it would directly... I think this way is probably a bit faster, but it really depends on how you're working. Barry wants to know if this video is going to be mostly about the commercial aspects of art. Not necessarily. What I would really like to focus on here is channel reviews, if anybody wants to have their art channel reviewed, and that is, I guess, it could be considered commercial. However, a lot of people have YouTube channels just, you know, as a hobby, like they're not trying to make any money off of it. And so I think there's, you know, there's definitely value to learning how to get exposure for your work. You know, like, not everybody needs to make money off of their art, but YouTube is a good way to get people to see your work. And that's kind of the fun thing about making art, especially if you're doing it for a hobby and non-commercially, is getting people to look at it and enjoy it. So that would be another good reason to have a YouTube channel. So that's kind of the focus. It's been very helpful for me, and I feel like a lot of artists don't take it seriously, but if they knew how powerful YouTube can be and how positive of an effect it can have on your career, they might be more inclined to use it in that way. Dive to the Heart wants to know, would it be better to focus on traditional art before jumping into digital art? Not necessarily. If you search my channel for traditional versus digital art, I actually have a video I made pretty recently that talks a little more in depth about that. It's important to be able to do both, you know, and you don't have to choose between one or the other, and you don't have to do one before the other. You could do them in any order. That's kind of the short answer. Pop Trigger wants to know, do I have a video about how I earned my Corel Painter title designation? Yes, I think I do. I think it's under something like Corel Painter Master. Corel's been giving people the title of Master for a while, and it's pretty much artists who use Corel Painter a lot, to the point to where they know a lot about it, and more importantly, they're very active in the digital art community, and so they're very interested in helping people learn how to use Corel Painter and contributing to Corel Painter by being a beta tester. So, you know, not everybody who uses Corel Painter and who is good at using Corel Painter has been given that title. It's again kind of focused more on people who are proactive about helping other people get excited about Corel Painter. least that's how I understand it. Drawing Dude's here. Good to see you, Drawing Dude. So Omar's got a good question about recording your videos. Omar says, I've tried recording myself working on a drawing while holding a camera, and of course it came out shaky and full of reflections and glare. So for one, you don't want to hold the camera. You want to get a tripod and kind of angle it down at your drawing, which is probably going to have to be laying flat on a table. So you want the tripod to be kind of obviously taller than the table so it can look down onto it. Then it becomes a little tricky to get, like, you can't really be in front of the tripod because you'll block your view of what you're trying to draw. So, you know, obviously, like, you don't want to be right in front of it. But if you're too far off to the side and you're trying to, like, reach around the tripod, then it also becomes kind of hard to draw. If you're getting reflections and glare, then I'm going to assume you're drawing on a screen tablet. Or perhaps you're holding the camera and you're pointing it up at your computer monitor. In either case, if you're working digitally, it's better to get an application, even something free like OBS, Open Broadcaster, which is a live streaming application. It's completely free, but even if you don't use it for live streaming, you can record videos directly to your computer. So rather than hold up a camera and try to record what you see on your screen, I wouldn't even bother with that. I would just record your screen directly. There isn't a whole lot of value in, like, seeing your hand. It's better that people can see a nice clear picture of what you're doing. So you can see that here. Like, I just have, here's my screen, and, you know, if I wanted to do a painting or whatever, I could do this, or if I wanted to be really fancy, then, you know, I could have my camera pointed at my hand. But I think starting out, you know, it's probably easier just to record your screen directly. Now, I'm not getting any glare because my camera is kind of off to the side. So, like, my screen is here. It's a terrible perspective. My screen is here. I'm kind of sitting here in my chair. And my camera is behind me, more or less, kind of here, pointed at my screen. So my screen's at a little bit of an angle. I'm zoomed in kind of close to the center here. So you would want to set up your camera at an angle that's not going to catch that glare. If I moved my camera over more, I might be able to find some glare, but my lights are like here and here, and they're there for a reason, pointing out this way, so that I don't get any glare on my screen. You know, if I had lights back here, they're going to bounce the light off my screen. That's not going to be good. So you have to spend a little bit of time getting set up, and it takes some trial and error. You know, the first bunch of videos I made, I probably had all kinds of issues like that, but I've had enough time to make videos and learn from those mistakes. So yeah, those would be my tips to you for recording yourself. Omar has a channel, but it only has 2 videos. Yeah, I think probably, you know, if you haven't done much to your channel, I mean, I'm still more than happy to take a look at it if you want a review, but I'm thinking you probably get a lot more out of it if you had more videos up. But I mean, I guess 2 is fine. Two videos are better than 0 videos, huh? Michael, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Michael super chatted $5 and has a question. Michael bought a $500 drawing tablet and they haven't used it yet. What do I do? What is the reason why you're not using it? And you may or may not know the reason, but I guess like I could give you an answer. I could say just use it, but that's not very helpful. And I want to be able to answer your question here and be helpful. So what do you feel like is keeping you from using it? Is it too hard to set up? Do you not know what kind of software to use? You don't know what to draw? You don't feel like you're very good at using it? Is it all of the above? Because there's lots of reasons why you could be kind of intimidated. For me, it's like when I spend a lot of money on something, that's reason enough to want to use it. I got the Fitbit here. You know, they're not super expensive, but they're not cheap, and so part of my motivation to keep using it is because I spent the money on it and make myself use it. So Michael, if you can kind of give me a little more input, I can try to help you work through some of those barriers. Alexandria says, I'm trying to learn a decent while per day, but I'm getting fatigue after some time. So I think what you're asking is what to do if you're trying to cram too much information in at once and you're getting kind of burned out. I think you're probably gonna have to pace yourself. Like maybe take in some information, but then try to apply some of it. So if you're watching a lot of videos about drawing faces, take some time to draw some faces and kind of let that information sink in. That gives you a break. That way it's not all information, because the more information you put in, the other stuff is going to get pushed out the other side. You can only really be thinking about and remember so many things all at once. It's doing them and executing those tasks that kind of permanently burns it into your mind. So yeah, I would take some, I mean, even if you have to take a break and just do something other than learn, that's always good too. Carol said, thanks for the tips on the selection. Carol says she wants to cut out a flower or a bird, etc. to create a new background in Painter. Will your approach be able to do fine selections of hair? I mean, any selection that you can create, you can fill with paint, right? So that could be a selection of birds, it could be a selection of the magic wand. Essentially, all you're really doing is taking something that had a lot of different colors and tones in it and making a silhouette out of it. A selection is just a silhouette, and it can capture transparency, so you can capture, you know, semi-opaque areas and so on, but it's still basically just a flat silhouette. So yeah, it's essentially you can use it for anything. The mask approach, if I was going to create a mask, would create a mask layer, and in that sense you could still probably access that mask in Painter in the channels. It's just you'd have to kind of look, you'd have to dig into some kind of more in-depth areas, and I don't know that that would really be an advantage. Off the top of my head, I can't see that being an advantage unless you wanted to modify that selection while you're working. Like let's say you wanted to add to it or subtract from it, then in that case a mask might make more sense. I can kind of show you here real quick, and then I'll get back to Michael. So here's what I'll do. I want to make a box on this layer, a black box, and then I'm going to select the gradient tool and a radial gradient. I'm going to create a mask, and then I'm going to select black, and I'm going to draw a radial gradient. Now essentially what that's done, if I change the background here to red, is you can see that that mask, I added that by clicking on the new mask icon here. The mask essentially conceals or makes invisible that area that I painted with black. And you can see that represented. You can't see what I'm doing, you can only see my face. There you go. Let's try that again. been a while since I've done that. I used to do that all the time. So see, I've improved in my live streams. So I'm going to create a new layer, create a rectangle, fill it with black again, create a new mask with this new mask icon down here, select my gradient tool, and black conceals and white reveals. So I've masked away or concealed that area. It creates a layer mask you can see represented in the mask. That black area, that's the transparent area, and then it becomes semi-opaque and then fully opaque where it's black. So now if I save this as a PSD again, I close it here and reopen it. That layer comes across through the PSD format. And so essentially that mask is it does function very similar to a selection. So if I go to, let's see, window, channels, and I've got that mask there as a channel. But I think it's a lot of extra steps to do it that way, and I don't know that we can even necessarily select, let's see, load channel as selection, replace selection. So you can load your selection that way. I clicked on this little icon here, and then that would give me that as a selection. I know this sounds really complicated, and this is kind of why I think it's better to do it the other way. No, that didn't really do the trick there. Let's see. I have to apply the layer mask. So yeah, I think either way, it makes more sense just to go ahead and fill the pixels. So there we go. I got my selection. So I don't think using the mask necessarily helped. But it depends on what you're doing. A lot of the time I'll have a mask and I'll use it. Let's say I paint a face, but I do the nose separate from the rest of the face. There'd be the edge of the layer where the nose connects to the head, and that's usually a sharp edge. And rather than try to kind of erase it to blend it out, what I'll do is I'll add a mask, and then I can just mask away that seam where the nose connects to the face. And then if I need to make changes to that later, since I have that mask there, I can. There's so much to explain about masking. I could do a whole live stream on that, so rather than try to explain too much in a short period of time, just search my channel for masking, and you'll get lots of videos that'll show you how to do that. So I did not do such a good job of explaining that here because there's just a lot to say about it. So let's see, let's finish Michael's question here. So Michael hasn't been able to use his $500 drawing tablet that he just got because he's scared he won't be as good as I think I was. I mean, you might not ever be as good as you think you should be, and I might not ever be. And you know, I think if you're the kind of person who thinks you're the best at what you do, then you're full of yourself and you got too much of an ego. You know, there's nothing wrong with wanting to do better. I think you have to start somewhere. You know, guaranteed you're not going to be as good as you want to be if you don't ever start and you don't ever use the thing. You know, maybe you already had done some digital art in the past using a less expensive tablet, and as you kind of indicated, you spent a bunch of money on it, and so now you were hoping that when you spent the money on it, it would motivate you to make more art. If that didn't work, then you need to think about what your other motivation is, because you've got more than one motivation to want to be an artist. You know, obviously having good tools will help. It'll make you more comfortable, but I think that kind of comes later in the chain of motivation. Like, you need to start with the core of your motivation. Like, why do you want to be an artist? Why do you want to make art? And that could be because you don't want to work a job, or you want a real job, or maybe you want to get recognition for your work, or whatever reason. Dig down and find those reasons, and then later, when you need extra motivation on top of that, you know, like, you already know why you want to make art, and you have a reason for that, but maybe you need a little more grease on your wheels. Having that nice tablet with a screen will definitely, you know, make that a lot easier. And then it really just comes down to, if you don't do it, it's not going to happen. And you got to tell yourself that. Most of what I tell you, and most of the advice I give you, I give to myself, and I tell myself that. If it takes telling it to yourself 100 times or 1,000 times, do it. That's how the brain works. That's how ideas come about. That's how motivation takes hold. It isn't you hear it once from somebody like me and then automatically you do it. You got to hear it from me, you got to hear it from someone else, you got to hear it from yourself 100 times, and you got to try and try again. If it's not working this week, tell it to yourself next week, and tell it to yourself every week for the next few months or next few years, until finally you're sick of bugging yourself about it and you just do it. I mean, it's really just kind of one of those things. Michael says also that he's used to traditional, never used digital. That's maybe more of an experience thing. Like, a lot of what you learned traditionally, you can still apply digitally. You're going to be doing it in a different way, but the principles of art are still the same. The principles of lighting are the same. You draw a face digitally the same way that you draw a face traditionally. If a face is a face, right? But you need to spend a little time getting comfortable with the software and with working digitally. And I think that's going to take, you know, analyzing what kind of techniques you use traditionally and what kind of art you make, and trying to find the digital tools that will mimic that as best you can. Now, I like Corel Painter a lot because Corel Painter has a lot of tools that very accurately mimic real-world traditional tools. And I'm not going to go into vast detail about that or demonstrate it because I've done that plenty, but part of the issue could be that the software that you're using does not feel like traditional painting, and most digital art software is not, because it's digital, but there are a few applications out there that do a really great job of it, and if you come from more of a traditional background, you're probably going to be able to take to those a lot better. So maybe try some free trials of some different applications. Try Corel Painter, try Art Rage, try Rebel. Those are all great applications that feel a lot more like traditional painting. Hopefully that's helpful. I mean, really, you got to make yourself do it. Whatever it takes, you know, whatever reason you have to come up with in your own mind, you have to convince yourself to do it. And I think, don't get overwhelmed by the bigger goal. Don't feel like, you know, here I have one goal, and that is to be the best artist in the world. That's the end goal, but don't aim for that goal. Don't be thinking about that goal constantly. Think about a smaller goal. Like, think about the very first baby step that you can make. That's probably not making a complete piece of art. That's probably just turning on the tablet and playing with some software and doing some doodles. And if you have to do doodles for the next week or the next month or however long it takes, just do that, and just get familiar with the tablet and how it works. It's going to click, I guarantee you, when you find some digital tools that do the traditional art things that you want them to do, and you find software that you like, and you get a little more practice with the tablet, you're going to love it, and you're going to be like, awesome, this is, you know, it's almost exactly like traditional painting, except I can do it digitally, and I don't have to clean up a bunch of paint afterward, and I don't have to go out and buy more supplies. And you're going to love it, but it takes a little conditioning and a little bit of getting used to. So don't give up. You got a cool tablet. Most people You know, I can't say most people. A lot of people would really love to have a tablet like that, so do it for them. Make that art. I believe in you. You can do it. Okay, so gotta say, I would really like to do a channel review, but perhaps there isn't anybody watching who has a channel, so I guess that's why it's always good to have a backup plan with the Q&A. So let's see what other kind of questions we have. Crinkle is kind of echoing what I'm saying. Practice is key. Definitely have to practice. Omar agrees. Practice is key. Raid wants to know about shadowing, making my art stand out more. They know the basics of coloring, but they need to know how to add the shading. Could do a real quick demonstration of shading. Close out the old Photoshop, and I'm going to remember to show my screen here. So let's see. Let's go ahead and just fill this. Oh, let's fill it with a... Now I have, if you search my channel for shading, I've got lots of videos, and I talk about shading in nearly all of my tutorials because I do a lot of shading. So the simplest way I can describe shading is with a sphere. A sphere is a three-dimensional orb shape, like a basketball or the Earth, unless you believe that the Earth is flat, and in that case, you're an idiot. So right now, I've got my sphere colored. Well, I guess it's not colored; it's just gray. So let's give it some. No, I don't want to add. Well, I'm not going to add color to it because that's a whole separate thing. So this sphere could be a face, or it could be whatever your object is. Now, you got your primitive shapes. You got sphere, cones, cube, torus, cylinder, and so each of those primitive shapes have their own form. But the sphere is the most simple. So I like to turn on preserve transparency, which is going to keep me from painting outside of my shape. And you want to think about where your light source is. If it helps, you can actually draw it in your background. You could just draw like a little, on a separate layer, draw a little sun doodle or something so that you just know the direction of your light. But let's say that's our light direction top. Right. With preserve transparency on, then I can shade opposite that light source. And that's your basic principle of shading, is your shadows are going to be on the opposite side of where your light source is. Now, how your shadows contour, and what I mean by contour is, you know, like this is contour, doing a sloppy job of drawing it, but think about how a basketball looks. Those lines are essentially, they're not flat, but they're going, you know, from one end of the basketball to the other, like the equator on a globe. But from your perspective, if your eye line is right about here, those lines start to curve up and start to curve down. So there's a form to that. It's not flat like this. This is a flat object. It's not three-dimensional. So your shading has to contour, and then our highlight would be opposite to that, over here. And then you could have some highlights that are like right along the edge, because things are going to be, we're seeing more or less one side or one hemisphere of this sphere here, but this side over here, like if we were looking at this, let me try to describe it in another way. If my head is over here, and I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at this side, but this side is actually looks like this to me because I'm over here, there would be some light reflected from the sky that is over here going this way and reflecting and bouncing off. But a little bit of that would be bouncing off and going towards me looking at it from this angle here, right? And that light would play in the same way as it does here, except the light would start like over here and it would wrap around this way. So essentially what you would see from the side would be some reflected light like that. So that, you know, the bulk of the reflection would be kind of on the side of the sphere that you can't see, and it wraps around and it fades out, just like it's more intense here and it fades out that way. So that's a very, very basic sphere. Now, cylinders, you know, you could imagine a cylinder is kind of like a stretched out sphere. So if I take this and I stretch it out, you know, at some point if I kind of chopped the top and the bottom off or something, then that would kind of be kind of cylindrical. I mean, I guess it's still spherical, but see if I can actually get it to work. It'd help if I select the right tool. So that could be, you know, kind of a cylinder, I guess. I guess it is a cylinder now. So there you go. That's how the light works on a cylinder, although it tends to run kind of in stripes, kind of going down like that. So if you look at your Wacom pen, for example, that's exactly what it looks like right now. Let me switch to this bigger screen here. See? That's a cylinder. So, and then of course there's cubes and cones and a torus, which is like a donut shape. Look at those shapes in real life and look at the way that the light plays on those shapes, and then all you really need to do is think about what angle the light's coming from, put the shadows on the opposite side of the object from the highlights, add a little bit of reflection, and there you go. That's lighting in a nutshell. It doesn't hurt to look at references either. You know, that's probably the best way to get an idea of like really complex things, but pretty much any object is a primitive shape or a combination of primitive shapes. Michael with the super excellent $20 super chat. That's a total of $25 today from Michael. Much appreciated. That is over and above, over the top. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Michael. I'm glad I could answer your question. I'm glad that I was able to answer your question. That's a hard one to answer, and motivation and self-motivation is a very difficult thing. That's something that, with all the tools in the world and all the talent in the world, artists still struggle with. I struggle with it too, being motivated, but I'm a full-time artist, so if I don't make art and I'm not motivated, you know, I can't pay the bills. I can't keep doing what I'm doing. So thank you very much for the super chat. Very cool of you, Michael. Enjoy the tablet. So let's see, questions here. Lots of comments here. Sorry, I'm just reading through real quick. Raid has a channel, but it's a gaming channel. They haven't uploaded any videos because they got into learning digital art and animation projects. That's tough when you get pulled in too many different directions and you want to do a lot of things. Raid says, thanks for the shadowing tip. And definitely check out my channel, do a search for lighting, because I've got, you know, I go into way more detail with crazy visual aids and all that stuff. There's more to it than that, but that's just kind of the quick version. But it is a very simple principle. It's not too hard, and like it's one of those things that just clicks, and all of a sudden you can look at anything in real life or in a photo, or just painting it from imagination. You know, I didn't have to look at a reference to paint that sphere. I didn't have to look at a reference to know what a cylinder looks like. That's in here. That's permanently in my mind because it's just a few simple principles. So if we don't do a channel review, it's not the end of the world, but I'm going to keep bugging you about it, just in case anybody's watching now who has a YouTube channel that they would like me to review and share some advice. That's all it is. It can be at any level. You don't have to have a whole lot of subscribers. Just, you know, have a channel that you want to be able to grow. And I will share some advice from my point of view. Some great questions out there. Keep the questions coming. I'm going to go ahead and switch to something else here. Let's see. There we go. Wow, that's color's really blown out there. I had this set up for doing a specific kind of drawing. I'm just going to doodle here with my black pen on white. A little while ago I got a new camera, and it's like actually a photography camera, and it works a lot better for capturing stuff. It's a lot more detailed, but it took me quite a while to figure out all the settings for it, so I'm just now like actually figuring out how to use it for drawing. Crinklecat says, can you review my channel? Yes. Awesome. I'm going to take a look at it first and just make sure that it is appropriate. I have a feeling that it is, but I would just like to make sure. Okay. Looks all right to me. So, Crinklecat, thank you for submitting your channel here. So, I like to preface this by saying that advice is usually subjective, which means that it's my opinion, and my opinion differs from lots of other people's opinions. You know what's best for your channel. Let me switch to the right thing here. You know what's best for your channel, so, you know, this is just purely my opinion on what's worked for me for my channel, so it's up to you if you're going to change anything. I'm not necessarily saying do this or do that. It's just going to be some suggestions. So, Crinklecat has 101 subscribers. That's not bad. And just a few videos. So it looks like 12, about under 20 videos there. So what I like to do is, starting out, what's my first impression of the channel? Because that's very important. Like, people might show up on your channel page before they ever see one of your videos, and as I mentioned earlier, they need to know exactly what to expect. It's like if you walk into a restaurant and there's no sign outside, it just says restaurant or something, and you go in and there's, you know, do they serve tacos here? Do they serve fish? Is it even really a restaurant? You know, you don't know. So you need that kind of information, really. So you have channel art, and I think it's kind of cool how minimalist it is. It's just the black and the white and the red. But if you could add some more context, and I'll use my channel as an example, you know, like you could put Crinklecat in there just as your name, just to kind of reinforce that. That's kind of your branding and what you want to like burn into people's brains so they can find you again. You're Crinklecat. And then what is it that you do? What kind of art do you make? What kind of videos do you make? Say something about that. If you have a schedule, then you could say something about that. So those are some ideas. So perhaps this Crinklecat character here could scoot over to the side, and in the center it could say Crinklecat, and maybe say something about the videos or the animations that you make. And then if we go to the videos here, the next major thing is really thumbnails. The thumbnail needs to kind of give people an idea of why they want to click on the video. Like, the thumbnail needs to accurately represent what's in the video. So let's check out speed paint here. Based on that thumbnail, I expect to see a purple girl, and eventually, I think that I will. And yes, indeed, that is what we see. Now, what I do notice is that there's a lot more showing here in the actual image. If I go here and I look at this thumbnail, I'm seeing from the eyes up, and that's not all of the artwork, is it? In fact, it's really cut off to the point to where, you know, you can't even really fully appreciate what it is. So what I suggested to Momo Hoskin, the channel that I reviewed in my last live stream, is if you have something that's very tall, then you want to, let me just use their channel as an example. They did a great job of this, and I don't want to look for the the example. Here's their thumbnail here, right, for this video. This is a tall image, but what they did is they have the tall one, and then next to it, to fill that extra space, then they have a larger zoomed in version. So if you don't have Photoshop, there's like GIMP, and there's other applications you can use to make images, but that's what I would do for all of these. Show as much of the artwork as you can. Don't have to show the whole thing, but show the important stuff, and let your thumbnails focus on the artwork. They do focus on the artwork, and I think that's good. You could have some branding. Branding is like a little extra little bit of information. Like you can see it on my thumbnails here over on the left side. There's that little strip of color that has my name and my logo on it. That's important because if we click on a video here again, there's related videos over here on the side, over on the right, and Crankle Cat, one of your videos, 2, 3, there's 3 of your videos here, but people might be more inclined to click on more of your videos if they see that your branding is on your videos, then they'll stand out. So I might look at this list right now and I might not be able to see any difference between these thumbnails. These are all art, but are they by the same artist or different artists? I don't know. But if you have a little bit of branding on there, they'll stand out and people will go, oh, there's more Crankle Cat videos. I'm going to check those out. Now, moving away from the thumbnails just a little bit for a second, this cat here looks really cute and I like it, and it's nice that it says subscribe, but it's in the entire speed painting, and it's kind of just, I don't know that it's necessarily going to get people to subscribe by being there the whole time. So maybe have it pop up right at the beginning or maybe at the end somewhere and just kind of pop in for a minute if you can. There's end cards that you can put at the end of your video. You don't have any here. I would recommend adding some. And in those end cards, then you can put that little subscribe thing. So I'll show you one of my end cards. Go to the end of this video here. So there's my end card. I basically just left a little room at the end of my video. You could just leave a black screen or whatever. You could put your text on it, and it's probably better if it says something on it. But nevertheless, at the end, that's where you could put your little cat that says subscribe, and then you could actually add a subscribe feature here. If I go to edit video, and then end screen annotations is up here. And you can add 4 elements. One of them is subscribe. And then I have best for viewer, which will show people another video from your channel that YouTube thinks they'll like the best. Or you could pick a specific playlist or video, and then you could have a link if you have a website or Patreon or something. So that's my end card. You don't have to put text on your thumbnails. If you do, don't cover up anything important. Kind of put it somewhere where it's not really going to bother anything. Make sure the text is big enough to be read comfortably. Just make sure that it complements the piece. One reason why you might want to do it for this channel is because you have some videos that are speed paints, and some that are animations, some that are slideshows. And so just to kind of help people sort out visually which ones are speed paintings, you might want the speed painting thumbnails to look kind of similar by saying speed painting in a similar font. So those would be my tips. I mean, you have 100 subscribers, so you know, you're off to a pretty good start. And then I just want to look at your about. Draw with Medibang. People can find out how you make your videos. That's always good. You got your Twitter on here, so that's good. So people know how to get a hold of you, and then they have your links and things like that. Last video in 2017, speed paint. So I just want to dive into some stuff. Now over here, this Videolytics, this is TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy is a free plugin that you can get for your web browser, and it'll automatically add some stuff to YouTube that you can use to get information about your videos or optimize your videos. There's a free version. I'm not sponsored by TubeBuddy or anything. I actually genuinely enjoy it, and it's saved me tons and tons and tons of hours on my channel. I'm talking about crazy amounts of hours, because it automates a lot of things like keywords. It suggests keywords for you. You can make templates, so you can just automatically add stuff in, and I have a whole video you can watch on that, but definitely download it as a free plugin. There's a link in the description of this live stream, tubebuddy.com/Rutten. Give that an install, try the free version. There is paid versions that, you know, let you do a little bit more. I think I have the Legend license, and it's definitely worth the money for me, because if you have a YouTube channel, you put a lot of time into things like thumbnails and cards and tags and all that stuff. So I say that because obviously I'm getting this extra information here, and it's telling me some stuff about your video. Your video has 0 tags, so that's not good. Your video needs some tags for YouTube to be able to understand what your video is about and to help people find that video. So some tags that you would have for this video would be speed paint, 2017, digital art, Crankle cat, cats. You know, well, I guess this isn't a picture of a cat. It's a person. So woman, girl, lady. You know, manga, anime, whatever it is that you're doing here, describe that. And so add some tags to your videos. As I mentioned, TubeBuddy can suggest tags for you, so that's helpful. You can look at what other people add. Like, let's look at one of your competitors here, Draw with Waffles, Meet the Artist 2017. Now, she has a pretty big channel. I think she has 249,000 subscribers, so that's pretty good. Now here's the kind of tags that she has: drawing with waffles, drawing with waffles, speed paint, color, sketch, draw, digital. I'm not going to read them all, but there you go. These tags are describing what the video is about. Some of the tags are also in the title of the video, like speed paint is there, and then in the description of the video it's also good to have your tags. So there's Meet the Artist. So your tag should be in your title and your description. And what this is telling me here with TubeBuddy is that 13 of 20 suggested videos are from this creator, so that's good. That means that when people get suggested videos, they're going to get more drawing with waffles. The video's tags appear 6 times in the title and description. That's okay, but not, you know, not that great. She could put in more tags in her title and description. And then you can see the search results. This is how she's ranking for these particular searches. So Meet the Artist 2017, her video is going to be number 6 if I do a search for that right now. So if we go back to your channel, I know I'm spending a lot of time on this, but I'm just happy to get something to review since I said that's what I was going to do. Let's go back to your video here. 0, so you got zeros and zeros here. So what this is saying is if you just improved these couple of things, that's going to, you know, there's no guarantee it's going to improve the visibility of your video, but it's not going to hurt to do that. last video in 2017 is not an oversaturated search term. So you may be able to rank pretty high in that, but you obviously can't rank because all it's really going to make your video show up at this point is your title and your description. And your description says 2018, let's do it, but your description should also probably say, this is the last video that I created in 2017. It's a speed paint of this lady here. Then you've got all that information for YouTube to be able to find your search, or to find your video if somebody does a search. And I guess you got to get into the mind of people, and you got to think about what will people search for in order to be able to find my video. Let's see if there's anything else that I have to say about this. You're missing info cards, you're missing end screen. I would add that stuff as I mentioned earlier. So try some of that stuff, see if that helps. And best of luck with your channel, Crinkle Cat. Thank you very much for sharing. Go check out Crinkle Cat's channel if you're interested. Michael wants to know, does Corel Painter have a trial? Yes, it does. It's a free, fully functional 30-day trial. You can get that at painterartist.com. And if you're interested in buying the full version, you can save $100 off the full version of Corel Painter using my special coupon code, which is 2017AR. You can use that at checkout at painterartist.com. If that's not in the description of this live stream right now, just do a search on my channel for Corel Painter coupon and it'll come up, because that's the best deal that you can get on Corel Painter retail. But try the trial first. You can install the trial and then you can actually just pay to unlock it later, so you don't have to like reinstall it. So try the trial for 30 days, see if you like it. I have tons and tons of tutorials on my channel that teach you how to use it, many of which utilize traditional art techniques. So that should be pretty helpful for you. It'll get you going with your tablet. And that, that's probably a good way to start. Like just pick one of my tutorials and follow a tutorial, and there you go. A lot of them will teach you how to make a complete piece of art. And I do have some courses on Corel Painter that teach you all of the beginner stuff, so if you're interested in that, again, just check out my website or search my channel. Crinkle Cat's taking notes. This will also be recorded and you'll be able to watch it later if you didn't catch all that, Crinkle Cat. Crinkle says, thank you for the advice. You're welcome, Crinkle. So if anybody else has a channel that they'd like me to review, I can share some more tips. So let's see, what time are we at now? We're at 1 hour 13. Probably the longest I'm going to go is 2 hours at the most. We'll kind of have to see how things progress. I'm going to need some more questions or some more channels to review. Otherwise, you just have to watch me drink water for the next 45 minutes. Got my really beat up Ninja Turtles water bottle here. I talk a lot and then I feel like I'm like completely dehydrated. It's also because I'm sitting and baking under these lights too. Raid has a gaming channel. I'll pop it open on my screen real quick and just take a look and see. I don't know the first thing about gaming channels because I don't own one, so my advice is skewed towards art, but let's give it a try. Oh, I'm trying to move a Firefox tab into Chrome. That's not going to work. Okay. So this is Raid's channel. It's a gaming channel. Raid Pred. First impression, you told me it was a gaming channel. Can I tell that it's a gaming channel by looking at it? Yes, because down here towards the bottom I can see some first-person shooter images in the thumbnails. Thumbnails. You know what? I'm not judging anybody for not having thumbnails, because I did not want to make thumbnails for my videos when I started out, and I made a bunch of videos that didn't have thumbnails, and you know what I had to do? I had to go in and I had to add thumbnails, but I had to do a whole bunch all at once. If you start early and you make it like part of every single video, like, okay, you've got to record the video, you've got to edit the video, and you've got to publish the video, you have to make a thumbnail. That's part of the deal. You have to do that. So, you know, I can't tell much from these thumbnails here. I don't have any idea what I'm gonna see. I don't know what game is gonna be shown. You have some branding, and that's cool, but you know, I have no idea what that video is gonna be about. So more like what you have here, which is actually like a thumbnail from the game. You're gonna, at a minimum, probably want gameplay footage to be your thumbnail, and then if you can add any more context to it by adding text that's not gonna like completely cover the image, or something that's very short and very succinct that can describe what the video is about, that's definitely gonna help. But you know, at this point, I have to guess, because a lot of people are going to look at the thumbnail. They're not necessarily going to read the text, and even if the text says exactly what the video is about, people might not even take the time to read that. So the thumbnail's really the most important thing to get people to watch your videos. 75 subscribers, not bad. The channel art looks cool. It's catchy, but it needs to explain to me what your channel is about. It needs to say it. It needs to say, you know, I don't know if Call of Duty's the game or whatever, you know, it doesn't even necessarily have to say the game, but if you play primarily 1 or 2 games or something, you might want to mention that. But, you know, you could say you do gaming videos of first-person shooters or something. That way that person, that fan of first-person shooters, when they come to your channel and they click on your main page here, they go, let's see, okay, first-person shooter gaming channel, cool, I'm going to subscribe to this, or I'm going to check out more videos because that's what I'm into. I don't know what you're into here. I can't tell. So just like with the other channel reviews, that's very important. And then the thumbnails just help kind of back that up. And then we'll look in the about. You're a Call of Duty sniper and regular gunslayer. You do gaming and edit for fun, as well as graphical effects and digital art. You could say more than that, but you know, I guess that's kind of essentially what you're about, so I think that's all right. But if you could communicate that on your main page, that's even better. Another thing that I think, you know, and I'm not speaking from experience because I don't have a gaming channel, but I know there are a lot of gaming channels out there where when people record the games, they also have a webcam and they appear down in the bottom corner of the screen, kind of like I'm doing here. That's always good, because right now people might as well be watching a game trailer or something. Like there's no you connected to those videos, and so if people can get an idea of who you are as a person and what you look like and all of these things, that gives people more incentive to want to subscribe to your channel and to want to follow you and become your fan, because you're an actual person. You're not just footage of a game. So you might consider that too, just hooking up a webcam. And I don't know what you use to record your videos, but you know, there's always OBS, which is free, and that'll let you do that kind of stuff. So I think that's about all I have to say about that channel. Let's look, playlists. Those are just playlists of stuff that you like. So you could make some playlists of your own videos too. Like if you have particular videos about certain games, put them in a playlist. But I think starting out with those things I suggested are probably going to be the best. Let's just look at your metadata here for your video too. No tags. There's a lot of common things here in these channel reviews. No tags, no thumbnails, channel art that's not as effective as it could be. So those are some things to work on. Your description, it's got some calls to action telling people to subscribe and like the video and all that stuff. That's all fine, but people are more likely to do that kind of stuff if they have a better idea of what your channel's about. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Christina has an animal channel, so let me just pop that up and see if there's anything offensive on there. Always got to check first. So this is an animal channel, not an art channel, but that's okay, because a lot of this advice applies to most kinds of channels. So any advice that I give for a channel that's not an art channel, you could still apply that to your art channel as well. Animal Love Fest, 44 subscribers. Cute picture of a dog, all dirty. You got your name of your channel, that's great. But again, if I only look here, what is your channel about? I know it has something to do with animals, but I don't know what. Are they your pets? Who knows what they are? So I'm going to guess that these are your pets, and this is kind of like your target audience is people who like pets and like seeing them do cute things. So how do you communicate that in your channel art here? You know, I don't know that you'd want to say literally that, but you could say, you know, adorable moments, or, you know, adorable moments with my pets. I don't know. Don't quote me word for word here, but try to say something that explains what your videos are about. Basically what you'd put on your about page. So, welcome to Animal Love Fest. Really enjoy watching my fur babies have fun. Try new things, and I will try to give you a little background information. Okay, so something like that. Animal Love Fest, pets having fun, or something. That could be your tagline. Pets having fun. Something like that. And then people know what to expect. And then, as I talked about earlier, it doesn't hurt to have like your video posting schedule and things like that. So let's see, videos. Looks like you're posting a few videos a month, not all that regularly, sometimes more months than others. So thumbnails. The pets are in the thumbnail, but these look to me, it's hard to tell if you made the thumbnails or if the thumbnails were automatically generated by YouTube. I think I'd have to pop into the video more. So let's see, Bunny gets a Halloween treat. So if possible, you want to try to select the best thumbnail from the video here. So it's up to you if you want to show the bunny eating the treat, or if you want to not show that. I'm just kind of looking through, like I'd do if this were my video, trying to find the best thumbnail. And you want to make it obvious that it's a bunny and it's eating the treat. So something kind of like this, where most of the content fills the frame, You could take this and then crop it down. Like I'll actually show you because I feel like this has some value. You need to learn a little bit of image editing. That's kind of a minimum of what needs to be done. So this is just one way to get an image, but you could also capture it from within your video program as well. So I'm going to save that. And I have a template here, which is basically just the bare bones of a thumbnail, and then I can just plug in the rest of the information. So I'm going to bring in that bunny. Come on, bunny. Get into Photoshop. So here's my image. I want to try to fill as much of that space as possible. And I want to move it down so that it's not covering up everything. Let's ignore these labels for now. Let's ignore the branding because you may or may not have branding, but that wouldn't hurt to add to your videos eventually if you have a lot of videos. Again, the branding just kind of helps make all of your thumbnails look consistent, but it helps people pick out your videos when they're suggested among other videos. But we'll ignore that for now. So the bunny is the most important thing. We want the action, or what people want to see in the video, to be the primary focus of the thumbnail. So something like this, where you see the really cute bunny, it's a little dark, and video quality is probably something that you want to try to improve upon, like have more lighting. I know when you're capturing a moment that's like the pet doing something, you know, you can't always plan it out and have lights set up, but if you can, it'll definitely improve the quality of your video because this is a little bit dark. But you can make the thumbnail more appealing at least, and that is kind of at least a step in the right direction. So for example, in Photoshop, I'm going to use levels. Actually, no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use adjustments, shadows, and highlights. And what I want to try to do is brighten it up a little bit, but not like destroy it or anything. Something like that. And then if we see it before and after, see how you can see much more of the detail of the bunny. So when it's a small thumbnail, you're like, okay, that's a bunny, but without that, what is that? I don't know. I can't tell what that is. Now it's a bunny, now it's not. In addition to that, you can also sharpen it. That helps sometimes. You don't want to over sharpen, so I use Sharpen Unsharp Mask. Sharpening just makes the image a little bit sharper. And then if you want to kind of play off the cute thing, because you know, obviously that's kind of the appeal here, they're cute pets. Then if you wanted to get a little bit fancy with your graphics, now I'm going to do a quick sloppy job of this, and maybe this isn't good because it's going to kind of cover up some of the pumpkin. But you could have a word bubble or something. Pen pressure is not working now because I have Painter open also. You could have a little word bubble that says, this is failing here. It says, or something, you know, like just a little bit of a touch. Or maybe you don't have to have the word bubble. Maybe you can just have text. Oops. That says snacks with an exclamation point. This adds context. This is like, okay, this is about snacks, but we don't want to cover up the important stuff in the video. And we want the text to stand out against the background, so we give it a little bit of a stroke or something like a shadow. and then we zoom out to evaluate it because it could be very, very tiny when people look at it on a phone. We could, you know, tilt the text or something to make it stand out a little bit better. And we could move that up there. I don't really know where the best place for it is. Maybe up there is a little bit better. So we compare that thumbnail to the thumbnail that you had. I can see the bunny here, that's all right, and I can see the cake, but there's a wasted space in the middle here, and it's not drawing me in. You know, I'm not seeing the action or what's promised in the video. It's hard to see the bunny, it's hard to see how cute it is and see its cute little eye. We compare that to this thumbnail, you see more of the bunny, you see the bunny munching out on the pumpkin. You don't know what it's getting out of the pumpkin, so you can watch the video to find that out, but nevertheless you know that it's getting a snack. And so something kind of like that. Let's see. So that would be my advice for thumbnails. You have a custom one here, PetSmart Vlog. You know, that kind of stands out to me, but it's a PetSmart haul. So even though that's kind of a clear thumbnail, this is what I would expect to see. This is your haul right here. Take this, capture it as your thumbnail background, and then put in text PetSmart haul, where it's not covering up too much of the stuff. Because that's what people are going to want to see in the video. So try to find the best frame. It could be you holding some stuff too, but try to show as much stuff as you can. Try to put the focus on what people are going to want to see the most in the video. That's what I expect to see. Not this. PetSmart Vlog, I have no idea what that's going to be unless I read this piece of text here. And, you know, if I have the attention span of a goldfish, as most people do nowadays, I'm not even going to read this. So that's something to think about. You know, like outside of Petco, not all that interesting. I mean, yes, it communicates Petco, but you know, if we go to this thumbnail here, you know, maybe it's a composite of images. Like, I like the dog kind of going in here, you know, if you had a shot of the dog kind of going into Petco, looking all happy, and then have it kind of fade into like a little shot of Petco so you can see both. Or, you know, I mean, it's a lot more video editing and a lot more image editing to do, but if you do some stuff like this, where I cut myself out of the background and then I have a separate background, you could have the dog kind of floating on top of PetSmart or on top of some of the stuff that's in there. That way you're kind of combining two images that are in the same video, but combining them into the same thumbnail so that people can see like a variety of what's in that video. It's kind of basically, you know, giving the synopsis of what the video is about in a single image. And then last but not least, let's just see, as far as metadata, your descriptions and things like that. Again, check out TubeBuddy. There's a link in the description of this live stream. Everybody can benefit from TubeBuddy. Even the free version has lots of great stuff that can really help you. It not only helps you optimize your videos, it gives you an idea of what it is that you should be doing. It teaches you how to optimize your videos. So you got some tags. You've done well. Excellent job with the tags. Bunny, bunnies, hopping bunny, cats, dogs, doggy, doggies, kitties, animals, pets, furry animals, laugh. That's describing what's in the video, but they're so broad that how many bunny videos are there on YouTube? Probably 48 million. I don't know how many there are. If we show search rankings, you're not ranking on any of these. So you're probably never ever going to rank on bunny. And that's, I'm not trying to like, you know, burst your bubble or anything, but it's just, it's so overly done. It's like everybody has keywords that they want to target, and that these tags or keywords substantiate what's in the video, but you have to have like maybe phrases then that are very specific to this video, like our bunny is running free, so maybe one of your tags needs to be bunny running free or bunny in the house. It's a tricky one because it's something that there's a lot of videos about. So all you can really do then, if it's really hard to come up with tags that are going to stand out, you need to come up with videos that are going to stand out. So what is it that you can make for your next bunny video that is going to stand out from the competition? If I do a search right now for bunny playing in house, let's be more specific. Well, let's do house. People probably aren't going to like search for living room. Bunny playing in house. These are the top search results that I get based on my search here. You can see like these are good thumbnails, very, very cute, clean thumbnails that have bunnies. The bunny play box, you can see they're about to go in the box. I don't know anything about any of these channels, so I don't know if their thumbnails are optimized. Bunny plus dog, or bunny heart dog, that's a good thumbnail there. TubeBuddy's telling me that the search volume for this is pretty low for bunny, and there's not a lot of competition, so overall bunny playing in the house is a specific phrase, but this could also be your tag or your keyword, and so you might be able to rank for bunnies playing inside the house. Even though there's a lot of bunny videos, bunnies playing inside the house is a little more specific. If I just put in bunny, let's watch what happens. Keep an eye on this little ranking over here in the top right. Let's do regular bunny. Search volume. People search for it a lot. This is a very, very highly searched thing, but also it's the most the most competition you can get, so overall it's very, very bad. So it doesn't do you any good to tag for bunny. Yes, it helps YouTube understand that there's a bunny in your video, but it's not specific enough. And so another thing that you can do to help you with this, to help you figure out like what you should put for your keyword, is to go to Google Trends, which is trends.google.com. And let's see, maybe it's not that. Let's see if I can find the right link here. I thought it was that. Trends.google.com, Trends Explorer. Okay, so you have to go to Explorer then. Bunny playing in house. I'll put that in as one of my search terms. Doesn't rank. Let's just do regular bunny. And let's do bunny playing. Bunny house. What this is doing is this is allowing you to compare which search term is more popular. So I'm going to change this from web search to YouTube search, just so it's more specific. Here's how much people are searching for bunny. People are not searching for bunny playing or bunny house very much. So what you want to try to find is you want to try to find something that's in between absolutely nothing and bunny. Cute, if I can spell cute right, cute bunny. See if we get anything in between there. Nothing. I don't believe that. There should be some searches for cute bunny. This one. Rabbit. Let's see if rabbit shows up here. Okay, there we go. Now we got something. So just to be able to compare something. If we want to compare bunny to rabbit as far as being searchable, more people are searching for the word bunny than rabbit. So basically what I'm getting at here is we need to try to be able to tag this video and describe it in a way that's going to help people find it, that's not going to be trying to compete with every other bunny video. Now how you do that, that's a little bit tricky because I don't know the first thing about animal channels, you know, so I don't know the tips and the tricks that are specific to that, and there might be other channels that you can find that do a great job of that. So let's see, let's go back to our search here of bunny in the house. Tiramisu, well, let's see if I can find one that has a lot of views. Let's filter it, sort it by view count. Playboy bunnies, I don't want to see that. Alright, I'm getting into some trouble here. It's going to show me some Playboy stuff. So let's just go to relevance again. Let's try Lennon the Bunny. Now Lennon the Bunny is probably the star of this channel. 358,000 views. Tips on living with a free roam bunny. So free roam bunny, maybe that's the term that we want to use. Free roam bunny. Search volume a little bit higher, competition somewhere in the middle. So that's kind of how they're getting people to look at the video. And then there are lots of other free roam, free range, free roam. So that's probably a better thing to target than bunny having fun or whatever you had earlier. And let's just see. See, the video is a lot nicer because it's more well lit, daylight. You don't have to have the best camera in the world, but you just have to have good lighting. And then, you know, Lennon's the star of the video here. We got tags. They're using some pretty general tags, but they're also leveraging that free roam and free range. They're leveraging both. No cage, living with, playpen. They got some good tags here. The only thing I would critique them is they should have free roam bunny. They should have the whole phrase. Show search rankings. Not ranking on anything, but I bet you anything if they put free roam bunny as one of their tags, they would probably rank for that because it's also here and it's here. And if it was also here in the tags, then they would potentially come up much sooner. So hopefully that was helpful for your animal channel there. So I'm just going to check out the comments here. Get back to my channel here for something in the background. Animal Love Fest says, okay, I got you. So yeah, hopefully those tips were helpful. Michael says, how did I organize my monitor tablet setup? I have 2 monitors in the tablet, but cloning monitor isn't going well. You don't want to clone your monitor. What you want to do is you want to have your screens be independent of each other. So I don't know if you're using Windows or Mac, but this window here is my Cintiq, so it's the closest to me so that I can draw on it. I'm sitting underneath it here or in front of it. Behind that is an HD TV, and then off to the side is a regular computer monitor. In proportion, the TV is actually a lot larger. It's the biggest thing, but its resolution is lower than the Cintiq, so the Cintiq's showing as being bigger because it has more detail on the screen. So these do not accurately represent the size of the screens, it just represents the location. The Cintiq I use as my primary monitor because I want anything that I'm working on to be on the screen that I'm painting on. And I only want my Cintiq to be able to work on that one screen. I don't want my cursor to be able to go to the other couple of screens. So what I'm doing is I'm extending the desktop rather than duplicating it. So then I have this screen that's basically blank. There's really never anything on it as far as icons. I just have like applications that I'm working with on it, or windows that I'm looking at. And then on my other monitor, my HD TV, that's where I keep all my icons for my applications, and it can be all cluttered and stuff because it's just an extra monitor. And then there's a few icons on my extra screen, but this is really just an additional screen for when I'm doing a lot of stuff that requires multiple windows. It's nice to have 3 monitors. And then Keith has some tips. It does help to have the latest drivers for your tablet, and he also says you might need to restart, so you could give that a try. Okay, so someone else has a channel they'd like me to review here. Let me just look and make sure there's nothing offensive here on it. Okay, so Dat Sloppy Burger has a channel they'd like me to review. Okay, Dat Sloppy Burger, 70 subscribers. I know I'm like beating a dead horse here and saying the same thing for all these reviews, but again, channel art, very important, needs to say more about what your channel is about. I can gather that it's about art because there's drawings here, and I can see that these are like drawn with a Wacom tablet or a drawing tablet. But what do? You know, do you make vlogs? Do you make animations? Do you make drawings? That needs to be more, it needs to be said. You have a channel intro, that's good. You can talk about what you do. But people are not always going to watch that. Your description says you make animations about your life and junk, and maybe some silly rants about nonsense. So that's kind of what it should say. My animated life. Animations about my life. Something like that. Then people know what they're getting into. Let's take a look at videos. Not a whole lot of videos here. You've been at it since September 2016, so been here a little while, but haven't put up very many videos, so that's, you know, kind of something you need to do. You need to build up your video database, have lots of stuff for people to look at, and then you need to try to post regularly. I know making animations takes a lot of time, so that's one of the hardest channels to have as an animation channel. You probably need some other filler content. If your animations are taking you like a month to make, then you need to have some videos that are maybe just you talking about art, or things that don't require animation or don't require a lot of production time, so that you can do them really quickly. You could have behind the scenes, you know, like little segments of yourself working on your animation, or you could talk about how you make your animations and do tutorials and things like that, or how you draw your characters, or how you design your characters. The thumbnails are, like a lot of the other thumbnails that I've reviewed tonight, kind of lacking. These do show the artwork. I'm gonna have to look at one of these thumbnails to see. So it looks like it's a lot of stills and then dialogue over that. So something like, you know, maybe something a little bit bigger and a little more focused on the character would stand out more as a thumbnail. And then you could have a little bit of text too as well, but something that's easier to read than like what you have here or here, because you wrote this with a pen and that's kind of hard to read, so maybe just have it typed on there. But I think if you had enough videos, this kind of thumbnail format would work, where you can kind of see what's in each video, but I just feel like it needs, something needs to draw me in a little bit more. Maybe there's something on it that needs to say Sloppy lies to herself animation, you know, in parentheses or something, or in brackets, so that you know that it's an animation. Because it's hard to tell what these are going to be. You can assume they're animations if you know something about your channel, but people who have come here for the first time might not know that. So let's see what you're doing as far as tags. Let's see for this video. Show me the tags. Sometimes it doesn't want to load them.
My name is Dan Sloppy Burger.
Oh, I see why it's not working, because I don't have TubeBuddy installed on Firefox. So I need to go to Chrome, and then it will show me. Okay, so tags for this video, most embarrassing story, that's a good tag. I can see people probably searching for that. Story time, animation, meme, first video. Not enough to get your video found. If we show search rankings, you're not going to rank for any of these. You probably need like digital art, cartoons, my animated life, you know, like, again, like I was talking about with the previous review, people need to be able to find the video, and you need to be able to do a little bit of research to figure out what people are searching for that's similar to your content, and how those people are getting people to find their videos, and just kind of reverse engineer. So, most embarrassing story. Let's see here. Well, let's do just a regular most embarrassing story first. I need to plug in my keyboard here to charge it. Okay, so most embarrassing stories animated. This is what's coming up for most embarrassing story. My most embarrassing stories, probably a lot of vlogs, but it looks like some animated stuff. So it's possible that you could rank for this. Search volume's a little low, competition's a little high. Most embarrassing story time, people are searching for that, so that might be a little more specific. So you might want to add the animation, most embarrassing story animation or animated. That narrows it down a little bit more and helps filter out the most embarrassing stories that are vlogs that aren't animated. So you might be able to get featured more in here. Competition, very low. Search volume not as great, but nevertheless there's still some people searching for it. And you can see how much these thumbnails stand out. Your stuff isn't in color, that's okay, but you might consider adding color because that will help your videos stand out as well as your thumbnails. I think that's really what's helping a lot, because otherwise if all these thumbnails were all in black and white, you might not really be able to pick one out. So that would be my suggestion. The little blush marks here, you know, she looks embarrassed, maybe that's a good thumbnail, and then you could have just text over here that says most embarrassing story. That way that text really stands out and it fills that extra space. So you said that you just got a new Wacom tablet and you want to up your skills before you make a new video. I think I'm not going to watch this all the way through, but probably more, like there needs to be more movement in the video. Like this one's moving a little more than the one that I looked at before. So there's a lot of frames. I think that's good, but maybe adding color is kind of the next step. More color than you have here. And I know that's a lot of extra work, but that might be the way to do it. you know, you could also animate the mouths or something, or have them blink, or just a little bit more movement. I'm not an animation expert. I don't know anything about running an animation channel, so I don't have a whole lot of tips in that regard. What I do know is it takes a lot of time to make an animation, and so that means it's going to take a lot of time to make videos. So again, you might need some filler that gives people an idea of who you are, and then they're more likely to subscribe to you because they know who's making the animations. And that's easy to make videos about. You can just put the camera on your face and talk about yourself, or, you know, do little doodles of yourself drawing your characters while you talk about stuff and talk about your process. So that would be my suggestion. Somebody has a comment about your audio quality. That's also something to consider. You might listen to advice like that and just make sure that when you're recording that your microphone's turned up to where it's not so loud that everything's going to be blown out, but it's not so quiet that people can't hear you. That might take investing in a different kind of microphone. It might take better microphone placement. It might be as easy as just in your video editing application, just increasing the level of the volume to make it easier to hear. A good way to know if it's loud enough or not, within your video editing application, sometimes there's a level meter. It's that little bar, that vertical bar that goes from green to yellow to red. When it goes to the red, you know it's too loud. When it's, you know, a short green bar, you know it's too quiet. And if it's kind of right around the yellow, the very top of the green, you know it's nice and loud. But if you don't have something fancy like that, then all you can really do is maybe compare it to other videos. Find a really nice, really professional quality video that you know people put a lot of time and money into. Play the video on YouTube, see how loud it is, and then play your video immediately after and see how quiet it is, and you'll have an idea of how quiet your video is compared to something that's actually been optimized. If you find that your video is really, really quiet compared to every other video you watch, then that's an issue, because when people are watching YouTube and they come across your video, their volume is going to be set so that they can hear every other video, which is loud in comparison to yours. So when they get to yours seems unusually quiet. You can't hear it at all because their speakers or their volume's turned down very low. They have to turn it way up for you. Then when they're done watching your video, they go to watch someone else's video. It's way too loud and they have to turn their speakers down, and so that can kind of be a turnoff. Michael says the problem he was having with the monitor is it wasn't his primary screen. His pen would track on the monitor instead of the tablet. So yeah, setting your mapping or your focus. I'm not sure how Huion does it. It should be very similar to how Wacom does it. There should be a mapping where you can set which monitor you want the pen to work on, because it can work on a different monitor than the display tablet itself. I'm glad you got that worked out. So, coming up on 2 hours now. I don't think I have any more energy in me to do another review. I think I've gotten through all the ones that were suggested anyways. So I'll answer maybe one or two more questions, and then I'm gonna call it a night. But I appreciate all the people who submitted questions and channels for me to review. And I hope my information was helpful. I mean, it was really nice to see with the last review that I did, or one of the last reviews, that they actually took some of my suggestions and it made their channel look a lot better. So we'll see. AnimalCom wants to know, do I have a Deviantart? Yes, I do. Let's see if we can pull it. I don't know if this is how you have to put it in there. Oops. Let's see, Aaron Rutten. That's a painting that Lawrence Mann did of me, so that's why that's showing up. Looks like there's some paintings that other people have done from my art lessons, so that's pretty cool. But as far as stuff that's actually mine, this is my Deviantart. I put up a few things, but honestly, Deviantart is not really driving a whole lot of my success. YouTube's doing the trick, Deviantart not so much. And that's not to say that Deviantart is not effective. It's just I'm not willing to put in the time to DeviantArt to, and I'm not, because I don't feel like it's really gonna, it's not really gonna benefit me to put in as much time into DeviantArt as I'm putting into YouTube. YouTube's got a larger audience. I have a DeviantArt just in case anybody, you know, looks me up on there. It doesn't hurt to get some traffic from it, but it's not really, you know, DeviantArt's not paying the bills. I feel like it's a little outdated too. Passé, maybe that's the word I'm thinking of. People still use it, but I remember years ago it seemed like it was more worth using because, you know, it's like, wow, I'll post something and instantly I'll get a bunch of views and stuff. But I can get a lot more views on YouTube. So I feel like for me that works better. But there's people who do a great job of promoting themselves on DeviantArt and probably make a great living on there too. Sloppy Burger says, thanks for the advice. You're welcome. Hopefully it was helpful. So unless there's any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up here. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate if you would do that. Subscribing is a great way to get notifications when I release new videos. I release 5 videos a week, so if you want to be the first to see those videos, subscribe to my channel and enable notifications, and you'll know exactly when I post a new video. Just as well, subscribing to my channel makes it easier to know when I'm going to be live streaming, because you can get a notification that way as well. Subscribing is free, it doesn't cost you anything. All it's really going to do is basically just bookmark my page in YouTube, and that way you'll be able to filter my videos out from the billions of other videos out there. If you're interested in learning how to do digital painting like I do here, you can check out my courses on my website, aaronrutten.com. If you'd like to support my channel and help me continue making these live streams and these free digital art videos, consider supporting my channel on patreon.com/aaronrutten, or you can click that super chat button down in the bottom of the chat and do like Michael did and super chat me some money. That was really awesome of you, Michael. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate any support that you all can give, whether it's financial or whether it's liking my videos or subscribing or sharing my videos or any of that stuff. So definitely do that if you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out. I'll answer Michael's question really quick and then I'll call it a night. So Michael wants to know, how do you change the tracking on what monitor? You have a Huion tablet, so it's going to be different, but your tablet control panel should be very similar, and you should have very similar settings. For this particular monitor, well, here's actually maybe you can't do it with the screen one. I thought there was a way, but maybe it only works with the tablet that doesn't have a screen. Let's see here. It's supposed to be something called mapping, but there's not. Where is my cable? Plug in this other tablet real quick. So maybe I'm just thinking that it works with the screen tablet, but it doesn't. So on my regular Intuos tablet here, there's mapping. I thought you could get to this through the Cintiq too. You might be able to on the Huion, but I guess you can't on the Cintiq. That lets you map your tablet to the monitor that you want. So you may not be able to do that. So perhaps then, I don't know if you change it this way, if that makes a difference. So I'll have to say that maybe you can't map it to a different monitor. I know sometimes there is a button that you can hit that will change through the different modes. probably no sense in showing this because they're probably not going to have this in the Huion tablet. I thought there was a way to do it. Here it is, display toggle. So if you have express keys, my Cintiq doesn't have express keys built into it, but it has the express key remote. So if you have express keys and if your Huion tablet has the option, you may be able to make a key do display toggle. So if I set this to this key and I hit display toggle, then it'll switch the input from the tablet to work on the other monitor. So even though I'm drawing on the tablet, on the screen tablet, the actual pin input's going to the other monitor. So that's how you do it with the Wacom tablet. I don't know if you can do it the same way with the Huion tablet though, so I guess we'll just have to see. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. I appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate all the comments and the channel reviews. I hope my information was helpful for those of you watching. If you didn't get to see this whole live stream, it's been recorded. It'll be available on my channel very soon to watch in its entirety. Again, make sure to subscribe. Michael with another $5 super chat. That's $30. That's like over the top. Very excellent. Much appreciated. It's nice to do these live streams and make something off of doing it. So I really appreciate that. That makes my night, Michael. Thank you very much. Crinklecat says, thanks for streaming. You're welcome, Crinklecat. Thanks for sharing your channel and best of luck. So I'm going to go ahead and go. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you all next time. Oh, I forgot to do my little end card. No. Showing the wrong thing. I failed. There we go. Nope. It's kind of working. I should just give up and just end the stream, but I'm going to fix this so that it doesn't happen next time. Okay. Color. No chroma key. Make myself bigger. This is the magic of live streaming. You can do all this stuff on the fly. There we go. Much better. Now I got my nice end card. It's all messed up now, but that's okay. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.